is, and especially with that pump running and the heat, the ground softens up. We need those 3 links of hose to keep a good distance from the lake, and going off the front keeps us on more stable ground to keep the truck from tipping in the water, because we actually almost had that happen once. When we first got the engine one that we have now, we were testing it, drafting off the side. The ground started to give way after the heat from the exhaust, and it almost went in the lake, only being a week old. So coming off the front is imperative for us. It has no booster reel again. That's an everyday thing that we use. It has no deck gun. They're piped for deck guns, but they don't come with the deck gun. There's no flood lighting or scene lighting. You know, we go to a lot of places that isn't street lights, so we need to bring our own lighting with us. Again, one of them they both only carry 2 hard suctions. They only hold 4 spare SCBAs. We carry 8. Again, these have roll-up compartments as well, and the compartments are actually smaller than what we spec'd out. And then on top of that, when the roll-up compartments, they actually takes away space at the top. They don't figure in when they do their cubic footage. But it has, the warranty is a lifetime on the tank, 10 years for the body, 10 years for the paint, 10 for the plumbing. Frames a limited lifetime, motor is 5 years, transmission is 5, and the pump is 5 years, parts and labor for 2, and the remaining 3 is covered for parts only. And then just going to New England spec. Like I said, it's exactly what they built what we were looking for. After seeing these 2 prices, on the high side and the low side, I think they're not asking an unreasonable price for what we're looking for. Like I said, positives, the same manufacturer and the service vendor that we currently use in the town for our rigs. It has the 1250 tank, which is the biggest we can get. It comes with 3 links of hard suction for drafting, a supplied deck gun, a booster reel. It has the front bumper intake and the front discharge. The big thing with the front discharge for the 1 3/4 is it'll keep us safer when we're operating on the highway. We can now use the rig to block us from getting hit and operate off the front instead of off the back and not having any protection. It holds 11 SCBA, we only need 8. The ladders are enclosed like we need to have them out of the elements, and it comes with flood and scene lighting. The only negatives, like I said, is we can't get a 1,500-gallon tank anymore. But their warranty is no different than CNS. Lifetime warranty on the tank, 10 years for the structure and body, 10 years for the paint, 10 years for the plumbing, limited lifetime on the frame. They actually have a subframe warranty that's for 20 years and a corrosion warranty for 10 years that the other 2 didn't have. But same 5 years on the motor, 5 years on the transmission, and the pump's the same thing with 5 years. Total, first 2 years of parts and labor, and the remaining 3 are only for parts. And they said that they would give us a trade-in value of $15,000 for 22. So if I missed anything from last time that you guys had asked.
Other questions or clarifications on this?
I'd like to compliment Mr. Ricks and the fire department for the thorough manner in which they researched this, and we did ask for quotes and looking into, a possible, trade-in, and they seem to have answered all our questions. So, and the numbers are a little bit better than we had hoped for. So, I'm very comfortable with the research they've done and the actions they've taken.
So looking at the CNS quotes, obviously that's a pretty big price differential. I see that there are, a number of things that are not included. Given that it's a demo, there's no way, or is there a way you could say, hey, add these things and come back to us?
We can, but that $100,000 savings is going to go right out.
I mean, the things, my point is the things that would need to be added would bring the price up to where
we're at now.
Okay.
Because you're talking engineering, plumbing, moving all that piping around what's already in there, and putting the stuff that's missing. That's why it's that much cheaper.
Okay,
So,
thank
and
you.
I, like I said, when I first saw that, I was like, how do I sell buying both of these at 600 and change? But it's missing. I mean, I can live with one thing or the other, but these things are everyday things that we need.
And these are things that are on the existing
Yes.
apparatus that we would be replacing.
Yeah, so it's not like bells and whistles that we're looking for. These are everyday work stuff that we need.
And you know that this is something that you need to do the job
Yes.
effectively. Okay, thank you.
Another way of asking that, and I'd like your answer on it, is the New England Fire quote is a better value. It's more money
Yeah.
than CNS, but it's better value based on the actual machine we're buying, and it's bells, it's whistles, it's tank, it's storage,
Yeah,
etc.
it comes with a little bit better warranty. Like I said, we've had, out of all the rigs that the town has bought, we haven't had any issues as far as I know, as far as service or anything else, so.
Okay, better value. Other questions?
I have a question. Is the
Oh.
New England, oh, I'm sorry. The New England fire truck, is that the only one that has both the front suction and the front discharge? Or are there other trucks in there?
Yes, that was the only one. The other specs had the discharges, but not the intake. Discharge is nice. It keeps us safer when we're
Right.
operating on the highway.
But this has both, right? The
This has
suction
both,
and the
yes.
discharge off?
Yeah, because it was spec'd out by us. Like I said, they took a chance of building this truck with us not buying it.
Yeah.
But it's what we as a committee said we needed off of what we have now.
And this has the three, the suction
Yep.
hoses, I guess, the draft hoses? As you
Yes.
Terrific. Other questions?
So the 15K, so we didn't have that last time, so they gave you that number?
Yeah,
For the-
when you, last time I was up here, you guys had asked me for a trade-in quote, and I didn't have it yet, so I reached out to
Okay.
them because I needed to make sure I had all the warranty
Yep.
information for them. I said, what are you gonna give us for a trade-in as well? Because, it's been in and out of the shop, so they know what they're looking at, and they said 15,000.
Okay, so the total price is gonna be 454, 847 plus 10,000 for radios, chargers, and other few items? Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for?
Like I said, I figured 10,000 was high for electronics. I just wanted to make sure we had enough, because
Right.
when we asked for the ladder truck, we forgot to figure that in, and we had to find other means to pay for
Okay.
it.
And what's the timeline again for this?
Mid-September.
And we're paying for this, how?
There'll be a resolution.
Yeah.
I believe we go short-term until we go to bonding again next year, so it'll be a short-term loan, which we have a pretty decent rate on, and then it'll be in our bonding package next
Okay, thank you.
June.
The existing engine that this is replacing, will that be able to be operable until September? Or this will have to be off the road?
It's presently off the road because we don't, it's $8,000 to fix the pump, which may or may not pass after that. So right now, it doesn't have a certified pump on it, and the brakes need $5,000 to $20,000 worth of work. So we don't want to keep sinking money into something that's not safe.
Right.
So,
And Niantic has a similar piece of equipment that can be called in?
yeah, as right now, since it's been out of service, we've been calling an extra engine in from them. And as it is, when we go north, we'll get an extra engine or two from Chesterfield just to make up the fact that there's no hydrants up there.
Let's be clear that you do have a pumper at
We
Flanders
still
now.
we
do
still have
an
one pumper,
operation,
and we still have a
yes.
300-gallon tank on the ladder truck should we need that extra bit of water.
Right. Other questions? Let's call for the motion, resolution, whatever it is.
Move over the resolution making an appropriation in the amount of $480,000 for the acquisition of a full-size Class A fire engine pumper apparatus and authorizing the issuance of $480,000 in bonds of the town to meet said appropriation and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose, and forward to the Board of Finance for their approval, and this will require a town meeting.
Second?
Naturally. Any other questions or comments? Thank you for all the work that you put into this. I'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Your fellow firefighters, I'm sure, will thank you as well. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. The Board of Finance meeting is August 20th. The regular meeting has been canceled, and they have issued or we have scheduled a special meeting for August.
July?
Sorry.
July. Yeah.
Never felt right when I was putting that out there. So let's do that again. So July 20th is a Wednesday, is that right?
2 weeks from
I'm
tonight.
going to make sure. So it'll be 2 weeks, not 1 week.
Yeah.
And then we will more than likely be scheduling a town meeting. We'll probably have that tonight, and that will be the August 3rd meeting.
Right, August 3rd.
And we'll have a town meeting on that evening. So just so we have everyone's summer calendar correct as things get moved around. Okay. Move forward on our agenda. Up next is approve the special appropriation of $60,000 for the McCook's Amphitheater. Mr. Putnam has been handed this charge and has done an admirable job. He is, come on up, Dave. He has helped coordinate, if not chair, a subcommittee that has gotten together. It was the bandstand subcommittee made up of citizens and representatives from the 3 organizations who pledged money and have since given money.
Correct.
And I think tonight we're going to take the money that they have given us
That is
and appropriate it for the bandstand, the band shell. This is not taxpayer money. This is money that has been donated for this purpose.
That is correct. And the three organizations are the Nyack Lions, Nyack Rotary, and the East Lyme Public Trust Foundation all have submitted $20,000 donations each towards the construction of the band shell. So to take this money and then move it to where we can, once we get the approvals, be able to purchase the band shell and start the work on it.
It comes as a kit. It's
does,
pre-built.
correct.
It comes on on the truck as a kit, and then we hire a local contractor
That is correct.
that we would go out for bid on. I
Yes.
would imagine.
Correct.
Okay.
So the design was, we looked at a number of different designs, and this is the design the committee came up with. I left my board out, if I can, I can bring it in if you want to see it. I forgot
Why
it out in the
not?
hallway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we take 30 seconds and do this? This has been a long time coming. While Dave's getting that, I applaud the Rotarians, the Lions, and the East Lyme Public Trust. If you've participated in any of their events, including the Lobster Fest, you actually had a part of this, because these folks go out all year long and raise money and then look for projects that the town is doing. And this is a main project that's been talked about for a number of years. And this is going to be tough to put on the TV screen. If you want to give it a try.
No?
You can zero in, especially on
So
that
this is
picture.
kind of the best picture of it. So it's a three-walled structure with the archway pointing out towards the field at McCook, and it's
Terrific.
that they decided to look at. So.
Terrific. I suppose the kit comes with instructions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, with engineered plans.
Yeah, good. Right.
You bought
And
furniture
of
from
course it's-
IKEA, I take it.
And of course, it's built to
Where's that on
withstand
my-
hurricane. Oh, yeah, we're
Right.
putting this right
So-
close to the water.
Right,
So
it's
this
rated
is,
at 120 miles an hour.
and that
Is
is,
what it comes rated at. Yep.
and zoning will, and the building, we have our chief building inspector downstairs. Well, we'll have to meet his approval and the zoning commission and everything
Correct,
else.
correct.
We are here to talk about the appropriation part, the money part. And that will be fully vetted. I think tomorrow night there's a CAM report at zoning
It can, and a public hearing.
and a
correct.
public hearing.
Yep.
So are there any questions for Mr. Putnam?
So the total cost is $60K, and that's
No,
all?
it'll be more than that. There was 15,000 in this year's capital improvement budget.
Yes,
It was
okay.
already approved at budget.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Correct.
so
it's
75
just-
total,
We have 75 total.
60K from
Yep.
private
Correct.
enterprise. Okay.
Yep.
When's the if this gets approved? When's the construction?
We're
and all?
looking at September.
September.
I still need to go out to bid to hire the contractor to do it.
Okay.
Wonderful. Other questions from this commission?
Just to point out, Dave, that at your last Park and Rec Commission, your commission unanimously
Approved it.
approved the location of it and
the design.
bringing it forward in the design and so forth.
So the setup cost and all that is included in the 60,000.
75. Correct. Yes. Yep.
And the location will be in a natural amphitheater that is located at McCook's. There's a dip in the land. If you're in the middle of the McCook's property and you start walking toward the hole in the wall, there's a dip in the land, which is kind of just a natural bowl, and we're going to put the stage at the bottom of that bowl, be facing out. If you could just take that away.
He's kind of, it's like confession here. He's on the other side of the
Just put it right down on the
Take it
ground.
down, yeah.
We got it on camera, and it'll be available for inspection on yonder. So it's in an ideal spot. And again, this was also fully vetted by the commission.
And I will add that, and I'll report my ex officio, that Mr. Putnam did appear before planning last night, and there were a number of residents from Crescent Beach who attended the meeting who were all in favor of this. And, if there was a fear that local residents might feel this would have an adverse effect, in fact, it was the opposite. They felt this would be a wonderful addition to McCook and to the beach area.
I might add that I haven't received any negative comments. I get around town and I get a lot of feedback on just about everything. One comment did, could we make it look like a shell? Can we make it look like a scallop shell? And that's it's a really good idea. When we looked at it,
We did, and we probably would have doubled the price on it.
at least.
Yeah, so, now you're talking a engineered special
Special built,
design. Yeah, correct.
And then there was the hurricane issue. Then it would have to be built to withstand that. Where these are already certified. So, we did look at it.
Absolutely.
It's
We
not.
looked at
It was
a whole bunch of different
new
options.
idea, but we'll get a scallop shell on the back of that or something.
Yeah.
It will, believe me, it will be an East Lyme
Right.
treasure.
And one other thing too is I did talk with Dave today, and we both reviewed the deed, and there's absolutely nothing in it that would indicate it would be any type of conflict with the deed that gave the McCook's Park and Point to us at all. In fact, it sounds like it fits right in what the intent was of deeding that property over to the town.
Any other questions? Is there a resolution or a motion?
Move to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $60,000 in CNRE Fund 32 to an account to be established titled McCook's Band Shell for donations received from East Lyme's Lions Club, Rotary Club, and Public Trust, and forward to the Board of Finance for approval. This appropriation is consistent with the capital improvement plan, and it will require a town meeting.
Second?
We have a motion. It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Mr. Putnam, I'm glad we were able to get you in and out of
Thank
here
you.
quicker
Yes,
tonight than
yes,
it was
thank you
last
very
night.
much, yeah.
And thank you for your service to the town.
No problem.
Great job on this. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have a sign call.
Okay, we did add a little bit to number 1 at the beginning, so we'll have to come in and re-sign it or something like that, because we put the amount of the dollars in.
I'll sign it, you just give me your permission, I can just write your name and initial it.
Okay,
on the wall.
sure. Town of East Lyme, notice a special town meeting. Notice is hereby given of a special town meeting of the Town of East Lyme to be held on August 3rd, 2016 at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at the East Lyme Town Hall Upper Meeting Room for the following purposes. 1, to approve a resolution of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of East Lyme, Connecticut, authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement and schedules thereto for the acquisition, purchasing, financing, and lease of certain street lighting equipment in the amount of $969,436 plus financial costs. Authorizing the execution and delivery of other documents required in connection therewith, and authorizing all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transaction contemplated by this resolution. 2, to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $60,000 in CNRE Fund 32 for McCook's Amphitheater to an account to be established titled McCook's Band Shell for donations received from East Lyme's Lions Club, Rotary Club, and Public Trust. 3, to receive communications from the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance with respect to a resolution entitled Resolution Making an Appropriation in the amount of $480,000 for the acquisition and purchase of a full-size Class A fire engine pumper apparatus, and authorizing the issuance of bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. 4, to consider and take action on an appropriation in the amount of $480,000 for the acquisition of a full-size Class A fire engine pumper apparatus, and authorizing the issuance of $480,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose, dated at East Lyme, Connecticut, this 6th day of July 2016, by East Lyme Board of Selectmen.
Second?
It's been seconded. Further comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you all. Next, we have the Samuel Smith House lease, which has been an ongoing discussion and for quite some time, and we're happy to have a lease for your reading pleasure. We're hoping to be able to execute it. I think we've come to some kind of agreement with the attorneys from the other side, or someone who is volunteering his or her time, and with the parties, that we're able to formally say the Friends of Samuel Smith have permission to be there, have the responsibility to upkeep the property, and et cetera, et cetera. Attorney Collins is here to maybe go briefly over some of the major points and maybe answer any questions that we may have, but this is normal boilerplate stuff. Hi.
Hi. As some of you may remember, the town purchased the property in April of 2013 with funds from a state historic preservation grant in the amount of $150,000 and $125,000 from the Niantic Sportsman's Club, with the understanding that any obligations under the state historic preservation grant would be undertaken by the Friends of Samuel Smith. There's been such a long delay because the easement requirement from the state was that it had to go to a charitable organization, and it took them some time to get their charitable status. They have their charitable status now, we have verified it, and now we're ready to enter into this lease. And it will give them the obligations that the town currently has under the historic preservation easement.
Terrific. Are there any specific things that are kind of funky? We're going to carry the insurance on the building because it's our building. It's a town's building. It's a citizen's building.
It's currently
and
insured under the town's policy, and
it
we
is
would just
anyway.
keep it that way.
And we kind of went back and forth on that. If they were the lessees, do they have they have the control of the property? Yet it's still the town's property, and in the end, the town would be held.
And particularly since the town
liable.
still has obligations to the state historic preservation, that it's important that it be maintained and insured, and that the town knows that that's the case.
And where we don't come equipped with hammers and saws and brochures in our back pocket, these folks actually do. And so some of the responsibilities of the obligation to that grant is also transferred to these people. They act on our behalf.
Yes, yes.
Are there any other questions?
So they'll be responsible for the maintenance?
Yes.
And what about large maintenance items, like if chimney falls down or something like that? Is that still?
According to this lease, they would still be responsible to fix it.
Okay.
I know
Doesn't mean
that
they couldn't
they're-
come back to the town and ask, but, okay.
That's right.
Well-
I know that they are very seriously trying to fundraise.
Right.
And they really do their best, given these financial times.
Okay. Now, I went through it, and just clarification, if in 30 or 40 years from now, the group no longer exists, or it doesn't have a leader or something like that, what is the recourses? Can the town opt out of this at that point?
Yes, yes.
Okay, at any time? Or if they
Yes.
if they were to merge with another historic, that can be changed at any point?
Yes.
Okay. Do both stakeholders have to agree to that, or is it just one?
No,
It's just one?
as soon as they're not complying with the terms of this lease, the town would rescind the lease immediately
Okay.
and have those obligations pursuant to the state historic preservation grant. The preservation grant is only in effect for another 17 years, only.
Okay.
Longer than I'll be here.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Could you go over with us any significant changes that have been made since the last time we reviewed the lease?
The most significant change is the provision regarding insurance. They felt that they could not afford the insurance. They also were fairly insistent that they wanted a longer time period. Initially, the town wanted it to run concurrent with the historic preservation easement, which would be 20 years. This lease would have expired at the same time.
Mhm.
They were adamant that if they were going to do all this fundraising and take care of it as much as they intend to, that they wanted a 50-year lease.
I think that is I think that's a good improvement to the agreement, because many of the grants that they would be applying for would require a longer-term lease than what we had in here originally. So I'm glad to see that that was agreed to. You mentioned that they would be that this lease does not prohibit them from coming to the town and asking for something for extraordinary circumstances.
It does not prohibit them from doing that.
And you said that this was reviewed by the Friends.
I have been in touch with the Friends attorney, Raymond Barabo. I have not dealt directly with the Friends. And this lease incorporates certain changes that he had made to satisfy his clients.
Thank you.
I just, again, back to the insurance, so we're covering the liability
We are.
under our master policy, but I do see that they've agreed to cover the contents and the historical artifacts.
We really insisted on that because we weren't sure if it would be difficult for the town to add those to the policy.
And so, but they feel that they can obtain a policy to cover those items and be in compliance with the lease.
As far as I know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And, I don't know if Thomas Lee House, with just, they have some pretty rustic furniture in there, if very little, but if that stuff's even covered, or, should it perish in a fire, it perishes in fire. It's not replaceable anyway. They're antique artifacts. You can't really replace them anyway, so I don't know if it's worth insuring, frankly, from this point of view.
I have one minor question. Just on the page 5, it says be signed by Mark Nickerson. It says it's first selectman. Is that?
The town's first selectman, so you'll
Should
see
it say
above it.
it's?
Lessor. Well, the town isn't it.
Okay. So that's okay. I didn't know if it was supposed to be there or not.
Neuter gender.
It just read funny to me, but I get it. Okay.
Yes, because it's not, the town is not a he or a she.
Yeah.
The pronoun would be it.
Okay.
Okay.
It reads
But
funny.
it's referring to the bullet
It's referring
above.
to the lessor, town of East Lyme, by Mark
Yeah,
Nickerson,
okay.
its first
All
selectman.
right.
It reads funny because we didn't write this, lawyers wrote
Right.
this.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Where to? Sorry, Attorney Collins, but
That's okay.
little lawyer humor there. Any other questions or comments?
I presume, because in the grand scheme of things, this is a small piece of our policy, but do we have any idea of the approximate cost of our insurance, both liability and general coverage on this property?
No, they
Okay.
don't break it over.
It's
apart
just
to-
bundled in.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just
thank you.
it's an all risk with a big book of listing all the properties and pictures and 8 by 10 pictures with drawn words on the back and all that. It's an Alice's Restaurant reference there, but yeah, they don't break it down. The cost of the boardwalk, the cost of the town hall.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good question though.
Well, I think that as the attorney who represents the Friends of Samuel Smith have agreed and to the conditions of the lease, then I think that it must be satisfactory.
Then I'll move to approve the lease as submitted and authorize the first selectman to sign said lease between the Samuel Smith House and the town of East Lyme.
Second.
So